Hello students, welcome to my next video. Topic for today's session is economic evolution in service sector. This is lecture number 2. I, Dr. Rohan Prabhakar Dahivale, welcome you all. Learning objectives for today's sessions are to understand the economic evolution and to know the stages of economic development. We will start with economic evolution. In the early 19th, only 3 out of every 10 workers in the United States were employed in the service sector. The remaining workers were active in agriculture and industry. By 1950s, employment in the service sector accounted for 50% of the total workforce. Today, the services employ about 8 out of every 10 workers. During the past 90 years, we have witnessed a major evolution in the society from being predominantly manufacturing-based to being predominantly service-based. Economists studying economic growth are not surprised by these events. Colin Clark argued that the nations become industrialized, there is unavoidable shift in employment from one sector to the another sector. As productivity, that is, output divided by labor hour, increases in one sector, the labor force moves into another sector. This observation is known as Clark-Fisher hypothesis. This leads to a clarification of economics by notifying the activity majority of the workflows. Now this figure, as shown in the diagram, describes a hierarchy of economic activity. Many economists, including Clark, limited their analysis to only 3 stages, of which the tertiary stage was simply services. Here we have divided the service stage to create total 5 stages. Today an overwhelming number of countries are still in the primary stage of development. These economies are based on extracting natural resources from the land. Their productivity is low and income is subject to fluctuations based on the price of commodities such as sugar and copper. In much of Africa and parts of Asia, more than 70% of the labor force is engaged in extractive activities. Now, these stages of economic activities can be divided into primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary, and quinary. Further economic evolution, we can divide the primary activities like extractive activities like agriculture, mining, fishing, and forestry. The secondary activities like goods producing, we can think of manufacturing and processing industries. Next is tertiary activities, that is various domestic services. We can include various services like restaurants, hotels, laundries and maintenance services. Quaternary, that is trade and commerce, we can include transportations, communications, retailing, finance and various government type of services. And last is quinary, that is extending human resource potential. We can include various services like health, education, research, art, and recreational type of services. So this is about stages of economic activities. Now we will see stages of economic development, describing whether our society has been its current condition and its most likely future is the task of social historians. Daniel Bell, a professor of psychology at Harvard University, has written extensively on this topic, and the material that follows is based on his work. To place the concept of post-industrial society in perspective, we must compare its features with those to the pre-industrial and industrial societies. So stages of economic development we can divide majorly into three parts. One is pre-industrial society, then industrial society, and after that post-industrial society. Now we will see each and every stages of economic development in brief. First we will start with pre-industrial society. The condition of most of the world's population today is one of the existence of a pre-industrial society. Life is characterized by as a game against nature. Working with muscle and power of tradition, the labor force is engaged in agriculture, mining, and fishing. Life is conditioned by the elements such as weather and quality of the soil and availability of water. The rhythm of life is shaped by nature and pace of the work varies with the seasons. Productivity is low and bears little evidences of technologies. Social life revolves around the extended household and its combination of the low productivity and large population results in high rate of underemployment. That is, workers are not fully utilized. Many seek positions in services, but of the personal or household varieties only. Pre-industrial societies are agricultural and structured around the tradition, routine, and authority. So this was about pre-industrial society. Now we will move towards industrial society. The predominant activity in the industrial society is the production of goods. The focus of attending is making more or less energy and machines multiply the output per labor hour and structure of the nature work. Division of labor is the operational law that creates routine tasks and notion the semi-skilled workers. Work is accomplished in an artificial environment of the factory and people tend to the machines. Life become the game that is played against the fabricated nature world of cities, factories, and tenements. The rhythm of life is machine-paced and dominated by rigid working hours and time clocks. Of course, unrelenting pressure of the industrial life is improved by the equal and opposite force of labor unions. An industrial society is the world of schedules and acute awareness of the value of the time. The standard of living becomes measured by the quantity of goods, but note that the complexity of coordinating the production and distribution of goods results in to create a large bureaucratic and hierarchical organizations. These organizations are designed with certain roles in their members and their operational tends to impersonal, with the personal treated as things. The individual is the unit of social life in a society that is considered to be sum of the total individual decisions made by the marketplaces. So this was about industrial society. Now we will move towards next part, that is post-industrial society. While the industrial society defines the standard of living by the quantity of goods, the post-industrial society is concerned with quality of goods as measured by services like health, education, and recreation. The center figure is the professional person become because rather than energy or physical strength, information is the key resource. Life now is a game played among the persons. Social life becomes more difficult because political claims and social rights multiply. The society becomes aware about the independent actions of the individuals and organizations can combine to create a disaster for everyone, as evidences by environmental pollution and traffic congestion. The community rather than individual has become a social unit. Bell suggests that the transformation from industrial to post-industrial society occurs in many ways. First, there is a natural development of services such as transportation and utilities to support industrial development. As labor-saving devices are introduced into production process, more workers engage in non-manufacturing activities such as maintenance and repair. Second, the growth of the population and mass consumption of goods increases wholesale and retail trade along with the banking, real estate, insurance, etc. Third is income increases, the proportion spent on the necessity of foods and home decreases, and the remainder creates a demand for durables and then for services. So post-industrial society is more service-oriented. Now we will compare. First of all, we will see trends in United States employment by sector. The duration is 1850 to 2015. So as we can see in the graph, agriculture is slowly towards the decline and manufacturing is showing some peaks and ups and downs. But just see the service sector graph. So this is the trends in US employment by sector. So service sector is increasing. Percentage of service sector is increasing. So as we compare, first of all, there was agriculture dominating and services was less dominating. But now the things has totally changed. Now we will just comparison of societies. So societies can be pre-industrial, industrial and post-industrial. We have seen in detail. Now what is the game? First of all, in pre-industrial, the game is against nature. In industrial, game is against fabricated nature. And in post-industrial, game is against among the persons. Predominant activity. In pre-industrial, it was agricultural and mining. In industrial, it's goods and production, and in post-industrial, predominant activity is services. Now, the comparison parameter is the use of human labor. In pre-industrial, raw muscle power was the use of human labor. After that, it was replaced by machine training, and now artistic, creative, intellectual is the use of human labor, dominating use of human labor. Next is unit of social life. First of all, it was extended household activities in pre-industrial. It was converted into individual activities in industrial and community activities in post-industrial. Standard of living measures. In During the pre-industrial stage, it was subsistence. During the industrial part, it was quantity of goods, and during this post-industrial economic development, standard of living measure is quality of life in terms of health, education, etc. Now we will see structure. In pre-industrial, the structure is traditional and routine. In the industrial, the structure is bureaucratic and hierarchical organizations. And in post-industrial era, the structure is independent and global. Now we will talk about technology. During pre-industrial, the technology was simple handmade tools, which was replaced by machines in industrial era, and now information is the key. So this is the summary of comparison of the societies. What next? In my next video, we will learn about consumer service experience and nature of service sector. All the best for your studies. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching. These are some references I have used to prepare this video. Thank you.